Alright, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, wherever you are in this wonderful world of ours. Shockwave here, and I am back with another ship review. This time, it's gonna be San Martin, the Tier 10 Pan-American light cruiser. Now, San Martin was recently introduced, I think maybe 2 months ago? Actually, it was introduced last patch. The patch before the one we are currently in. We are currently in patch, what are we at? 12.9, introduced in 12.8 for full release. I ground through it. The ship was not provided to me by Wargaming in any way, and I have the ship here with its permanent camouflage. Obviously, fortunately, only 17-point captain. Okay, enough rambling from me. So, just a general overview of the ship, as usual. This is going to be one of my usual reviews. Again, this is a Tier 10 light cruiser. This joins the ranks of the Worcester, the Minotaur, Worcester, Minotaur, and Yodo as, tech tree light cruisers, and the overall light cruiser ranks at Tier 10. Join the rest of them, like, Plymouth, Smolensk, Colbert, Austin, so on. I don't count Nevsky in this conversation because, well, Nevsky isn't really a light cruiser. It's a heavy cruiser disguised as a light cruiser. Anyways. So what's so unique about the San Martin? Well, much like the Minotaur, it is a AP-only light cruiser. As you can see here, it only has armor-piercing rounds. And the other thing is, of course, it does have, I should just state on this tab, it does have the combat instructions. I will go over those once we get into the more general characteristics of the ship. It's relatively thinly armored, but has a ton of healing capacity, relatively solid AA, relatively usable DPM, great concealment, good utility. Overall, I would give this ship a 6.5, 7 out of 10, just for its, wide variety of moves, the wide variety of things it has, only really held back by its armor and its firepower. And I'm gonna go into detail with that. Here obviously, but before we get into that, obviously I need to talk about the build. This is what I am running. Main armaments, engine room protection, aiming systems, propulsion, concealment, and of course main battery modification 3. Let me just buy these flags really quickly, because I'm going to play one game, as usual. And of course, this flag is very useful. So this is of course the Hydro action time / DFA cooldown. Now, this is what you're equipped with. For weapons, you have your AP rounds, you have torpedoes, and you do have depth charges. Consumables, fairly standard consumable set for a high tier cruiser, utility focused cruiser. Damage control, your repair party is very unique, 977 health per second over a 20-second period, and we'll go more into the heal coefficients relatively soon. If the short-range Hydro, 3-kilometer action range for both torpedoes and ships. Submarine spotting is, of course, 2 kilometers. I'm sorry about the back. If you guys are getting any background noise, by the way, there's a bit of a windstorm going on outside right now, so I can't really do much about that. And of course, we have surveillance radar. I'm actually going to mount the surveillance radar modification. You can use this. I'm going to use it just for the purposes of this video. So, this is what I'm running right now. Normally, I would not take priority target and incoming fire alert. The only reason I have taken this is because, well, first of all, there is literally no other 1-point skill to take. Gonna end up getting this maybe. Again, sorry about the background noise that's coming through. I can't really do much about that. I don't have any sound deadening. I would not take this. I would probably just go with torpedo speed or something. The top grade gunner is obviously going to be your 21-point skills. This is otherwise just standard cruiser build. If you want to run outnumbered, it can work. I would still take top grade gunner just for that faster reload. So yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at for skills and the build. So, armor and survivability. So with survivability expert, you have 54,300 hit points. Your base health pool is 49,700, same as the Salem. So that's your closest approximation. Now your armor layout's kind of sucky. You have 25mm plating everywhere with a 127mm belt, but you also have a 30mm deck. Longer range shots from 406mm armed battleships will bounce off of the top. I think this is similar to Worcester. Not entirely sure. I need to check, because I don't have Worcester on me at the moment. I did reset the line. So, yeah, basically a very similar armor scheme to the Worcester. Worcester has this kind of like extra extension there. Otherwise, very, very similar. Very American in its layout, sort of all or nothing. If we were to take away this, you see that there's no like spaced armor. It's an 89mm athwart shift, which means you can get citadel or chunks very heavily through the nose. Very fat, flat stern. And kind of boxy, very easy to citadel this thing if it goes broadside. Relatively large superstructure. Turrets are relatively decently armored for a light cruiser, 165mm. Not the best, though. Again, you have 54,300 hit points, you have the heal that allows you to tank a ton of damage. So, this repair party allows you to recover 80% of all damage dealt to you. Unfortunately, the cooldown is just really long. That's where the combat instructions come in. I'll get into that once I get more into the consumables and the armaments. So overall, relatively durable ship, just through the amounts of damage that it can absorb. Artillery. So you have 10 guns total. You have 2 twin and 2 triple mounts. There is 1 triple mount at either end of the ship and 1 dual mount at the other end of the ship. Similar configuration to the Dallas and the Pensacola. Just the super firing arrangement is somewhat difficult. Your maximum firing range is, of course, 15.5 kilometers. Not the longest range in the world, but it's serviceable enough, especially considering that your ballistics are relatively good. I will get into those relatively soon. Your base reload is, I believe, 6.1. It's faster than the Tier 9 and the Tier 8 at 7 seconds each. Ballistics are relatively solid, 812 meters per second. Similar air drag to the Des Moines, actually. Similar ballistics to the Des Moines. But I'm not going to compare it to the Des Moines. It's a light cruiser, obviously. Standard dispersion. I think this actually has destroyer dispersion. I need to check. Because I know Zhao has destroyer dispersion, so... This has... the 137. So... at 137 and 16.2. I'm fairly certain they had the same dispersion. Or roughly the same dispersion. I would have to... or probably just standard cruiser. I'm not sure. Somebody will have to double check that for me. But yeah, these are your guns. I'm going to now show you guys what the ballistics look like compared to other Tier 8 cruisers, or the Tier 10 light cruisers. As you can see, most Tier 10 light cruisers are kind of in this range here, like 320 millimeters or so, 330. San Martin starts at just under 350, and it actually carries the penetration well over range. At maximum firing range, it has 114, whereas the other cruisers are below 100. In addition to this, San Martin does also have improved bounce angles, similar to the Minotaur and the Plymouth. However, it has a standard fuse. If I were to go here to the Pan American section and bring up San Martin, take a look at shells, it has the relatively heavy shells. It has the same auto bounce angles as the Minotaur, 60 to 75. However, the arming threshold is only 25 millimeters instead of the I believe it's 12 on the Minotaur, and of course 0.025 second fuse time. If you were to compare that to the Minotaur, similar cruiser with AP only, you would see that the threshold is only 12 millimeters for Minotaur, which means it'll arm on all DD hulls, and the fuse timer is only 0.005 seconds, 5/1000ths of a second. So it will basically instantly detonate within any ship that it arms on, and because of that short fuse, it cannot overpen, making it extremely dangerous against destroyers. Whereas if you were to take San Martin is not capable of full penning DDs unless they show any angle. So that is a notable weakness for San Martin's artillery. In addition to that, San Martin also struggles to pen armored, very angled battleships or armored battleships, just due to the fact that the incoming angle is not that great, just because of the fact that the ballistics are much flatter. Again, if we go back to the ballistic chart, you'd note that San Martin actually has the best ballistic curve out of all of these. It's faster than it's about the same out to 7.5 kilometers with these others, but you notice that it becomes a lot faster once you get past 15, and out to, once it gets to like 15 kilometers, it becomes significantly faster. Flight time is only 10 seconds out to 15. Yodo is 10.9, and these others are about 2 seconds slower. So the impact angle isn't nearly going to be as good. Take a look at the impact angle. San Martin's impact angle at 15 kilometers is 18 degrees, where if you take a look at something like a Minotaur, it's 26 degrees. So that plunging fire through the deck actually will, combined with the normalization, will actually net you a lot more deck pens and a lot more damage over that range. Whereas San Martin on an angled battleship is probably more likely to shatter due to the angle at which it's striking the armor. Meaning that it will probably hit more armored sections, comparatively speaking. So yeah, gunnery is somewhat held back. Otherwise, it's solid gunnery. You can tear apart cruisers with this relatively easily. DDs, battleships that are giving you flat broadside, will eat a lot of damage, especially if they're weakly armored. But San Martin otherwise struggles to deal damage for the most part, especially against angled targets. It's not like a Minotaur where you can actually pen through decks or superstructures efficiently. Or, these other light cruisers at this tier, which all have freaking HE rounds that allow you to deal damage, just by setting fires. So, go figure. Okay. So yeah, B plus artillery. So it's kind of like just a B-rated artillery. The important thing is though that each consecutive hit does fill up this combat instruction. The combat instructions. You need a total of 33 shell hits or 34 shell hits in order to fill up the bar. So that's approximately 3 salvos that fully hit, or 4 to 5 salvos that are 4, 5, 6 salvos on average. You're not going to hit every single shell on every salvo, so you're going to need to get consistent hits in order to deal damage. Thankfully, the ballistics and the accuracy of the ship allow you to do so if your aim is good. Now, moving on to torpedoes. We have 2 quintuple torpedo tubes, both rear-facing, obviously. I think this one's rear-facing as well. Yeah, both are rear-facing. Let me see if I can bring up the torpedo angles for the San Martin, because I don't usually do this. Okay, so we're zoom in here. This is what San Martin's torpedo firing angles kind of look like. It's about 65, 70, it's about 60 degrees, 75 degrees, 60 to 65 degrees for both sides. Not asymmetrical, obviously. Definitely has relatively solid firing angles, and the sort of the ability to, and combined with the relative thickness of the main belts, the only way, like, you can execute torpedo runs relatively successfully on battleships if, I wouldn't say if you get lucky, more so if you time it correctly and wait for those salvos. Torpedoes do hit relatively hard. They do 17,500 damage a pop. Just going back here. Reload time is relatively quick, 106 seconds. That's kind of standard. These are American-based torpedoes with similar detectability and similar speed. In fact, the same speed. The only difference is that they have the same damage as the 16.5 kilometer torpedoes. Then again, this is kind of expected though, considering that San Martin is basically a Worcester, a modified Worcester for Pan America with, I think these are Seattle turrets. Are they Seattle turrets? They might be. I never checked. No, they're different than Seattle. They're slightly different to Seattle turrets. Seattle turrets are more boxy. That's for sure. These are definitely more rounded, per se. Very reminiscent of Worcester turrets. So that's your torpedoes. Airstrikes, standard depth charge airstrike for cruiser, 4900 alpha, 8-kilometer range, which sucks. Why aren't they 10? AA is relatively good. Good amounts of medium range. You do throw 400 medium range DPS, 129, 110 short and long range out to 6.9 kilometers. 5 flak. Anti-aircraft firepower is not the strongest, and that's kind of a problem. But it's not overly... It's not like huge AA, like, say... you know, some of the ultralight cruisers like Colbert and Austin, which both have great anti-aircraft values. This is sufficient for self-defense. It's kind of just a dissuasion tool. You do 2,000 damage per puff, but, you know, you're not firing too many puffs into the sky. So, kind of expected. Maneuverabilities, she's fast enough. 35.7 knots is great for top speed. Decent turning radius and relatively fast rudder. 11.4 is not the fastest in the world, but it's usable, per se. And of course, this is the big kicker for her concealment, 9.1 minimum. So this effectively gives her a semi-stealth radar, as she can essentially pop radar the moment she is detected with that 9-kilometer radar range. And of course, you get 5 consumables, 5 charges of each consumable with Superintendent. So you get 5 chances to basically kill a DD. Air detect is of course 6.9 due to her AA range. Now, that's kind of just your basic statistics. I want to talk more about this consumable operation readiness combat instruction. So as I said, it takes several shell hits. It takes 34 total shell hits to proc it. Once it's procced, your consumable preparation time will be decreased by 85%. Now, this is important because your base consumable reload is 180 seconds. If I were to take this flag away, see, 180, 180, and 180. Only her DCP has a standard cooldown of 60 seconds, but this is also affected. So, an 85% cooldown, if I were to do the math really quickly, would be, so 180 times 0.15 is a 27-second cooldown. 60 times 0.15 is a 9-second cooldown. So she can have a DCP ready in 9 seconds. Now, if you were to reduce the cooldown, say it further, with the flag, you could also, in theory, utilize the consumable cooldown. I'm not sure why this isn't popping up. Why isn't it popping up? Hello? Jeez, game. Really? Really? Alright, sure. I should also emphasize that she has different consumables in the slot. She can take DFAA or Spotter. I prefer running Hydro and Radar because if they're available, they're good for surveillance. They're good surveillance tools. I don't like playing her open water. I prefer to use islands despite her ballistics. And plus, it's just a nice little bit of utility to have. So yeah, her consumable cooldown is basically is reduced significantly once this is active. So that means if you take a huge amount of damage, you can just pop your heal, immediately pop this once it gets to... I think it gets to, like, maybe 150 seconds. And then you'll basically have your heal ready within the consumable cooldown time, and you'll be able to pop a second heal very quickly in order to absorb more damage. Because that's kind of what San Martin is. It's a damage sponge. Now, if you were to take a... Now, the previous ships in the line actually do have a bit of a problem. Santander, for example, the consumable cooldown is 80 seconds. Is 80 seconds. It's not nearly as quick. And this is also 80... This is actually 80% on both the Tier 8 and the Tier 9. It's only San Martin that gets the enhanced cooldown rate of 85%. However, it's a bit of a problem, because 180 times 2 is 36 seconds. Now, unfortunately, what that means is, with the Tier 9 and the Tier 10, if your consumable cooldown doesn't exactly overlap with what with the funny button being active, the F key, the combat instructions being active doesn't overlap properly. So what that means is with the tier 9 and the tier 10, the tier 9 to tier 8, if you don't proc it at the right time, you're going to end up with your heal being on cooldown longer. So like say you pop it with, say, like, also I think the activity time is also longer? Shorter? No, the action time is still the same, it's 30 seconds. It's just that the cooldown doesn't overlap properly just due to the percentage. So that's kind of what you're looking at. San Martin has the ability to overlap its consumables on cooldown, and you'll have the consumables ready by the time the buttons, the F key, the combat instructions are expired. But that's not the same with the tier 8 and the tier 9. You're going to have like maybe 30 seconds, 35 seconds left, depending on when you proc it. So timing is key. So as I said, overall what I think of the ship is it's relatively solid 6.57 out of 10. It needs HE shells to be a very good in randoms. However, it has found its place in competitive modes because of the fact that it's able to sustain a lot of fire. You put it in conjunction with a destroyer, or you put it on as a defensive unit, or as an offensive unit on a flank, and it can absorb a lot of fire, and it can dish out some damage of its own. It's basically designed to be a focus fire target for, you know, enemy ships, and it can absorb that fire very well. Only to a point, but it can do so well enough, and to a point where it's not going to instantly die if you just... if you know you get memed on. So now that I'm done with the basic review of the ship, we're going to get into our bog standard 1 game, and we get insta-queue. Yay! So I can't even see what's in matchmaking. That's awkward. Because I don't want this to be like an hour and a half long. Not a Malta, so that's fine. Oh, Minotaurs. So, one thing San Martin is actually really good at is countering Minotaurs. Surprisingly well. So, we got the wide flank here. So what I want to do is kind of go up here and maybe try to play defensively.
¡A sus puestos de combate!
So, yeah. Gonna have... I got 3 DDs again, 3 cruisers, 5 BBs, and a Malta. Malta isn't too much of a problem for me, because, much like the Worcester, San Martin cannot be citadeled by the Malta, just due to overall armor thickness through the deck and through the sides. Worst you can do is maybe penetration damage, similar to heavy cruisers. However, still, do need to be careful with that. I'm just gonna follow the Z-44 and help him out as best as I can. Where's she lose AFK, I think. Oh, he's just moving slowly.
Teammate, I need your support.
Defensive. Yamato, Conquer, Mecklenburg, Palmer. Palmer I can deal with relatively easily. Yamato just overmatches me. Conquer is just going to HE the shit out of me. So both Minotaurs are on that side, so I'm probably going to get the Hindenburg here, or something or the other. 1, 2, 3. Oh, hopefully it's the Vladivostok. No, Vladivostok is there, so we're getting the Palmer and the Mecklenburg, I think. There's the Pomeranian. My AA was off in the last match. Oops, that's kind of not what I wanted to do. So there's an HP cell from the Hindenburg, who's actually going to the other side of the map. Why are they all going there? It's kind of weird. I know this seems like a bit of a waste. Z44 is there, so probably gonna get Chung Mu somewhere out here, if I had to guess. Unless, you know, he decides to fuck off too. He does. He's nearby. Probably there, yeah. I just want to farm this Palmer, to be honest. It'd be funny.
Torpedos a babor.
So Kagero's there, Katsunos is gonna get the
Torpedos
jump
a babor.
on. Should kill him. In maybe a couple of seconds. Unless he doesn't know what... Well, not a couple of seconds, but deal significant damage to him. Also some wasted torpedoes there, my guy. And now the Maltese is gonna come for me, because he knows San Martin out here, because he spotted one. He's like, ooh, free cruiser, guys, I can Citadel it, right? No, you can't Citadel... You cannot Citadel... Oh, that's right. Four overguns on the Chung Mu. That's understandable. Let's get on the defensive. Here comes the Meme Lord. He's gonna try and Citadel me to no avail. Yep, like I said. I don't even mind going like full balancing. That I do mind though.
Daño crítico en la torreta principal. Problema resuelto, señor.
Nice damage.
Acorazado enemigo detectado. Crucero enemigo detectado.
Oh, I'm gonna torp my teammate, I think. Uh-oh. Oh no, he's slowed down.
Destructor enemigo detectado. Acorazado enemigo avistado.
I hit a torpedo. On something.
Destructor enemigo
Oh, it was...
detectado.
I think it was the Mark. I'm just free to farm this Palmer as I feel. For the time being. Hindenburg's a bomb. This is a consideration I need to take in.
Acorazado enemigo avistado.
I'm gonna get moving again. Again, I don't know why this guy keeps coming for me. This is just going to end up with him losing more planes than he needs to. Like, I get it. It is a Malta, and it has a huge and frankly ridiculous number of planes, but... Sheesh, dog. This is gonna help you. Some shots at Hindenburg. No more planes. So Kagero's actually shooting for our caps. I'm gonna have to go back and deal with that very quickly. Here comes the Mecklenburg. Did Hindenburg shoot? No.
Acorazado enemigo avistado.
Put more shots in. I'm gonna have to hurry back to our cap because that Kagero's gonna take it.
Torpedos a estribor.
If I'm not hasty.
Torpedos a proa.
That was a bit of a wasted radar, but I'm not overly concerned because I do have my FP ready.
Defending the base is our primary objective.
Hecho. Torpedos a
Oh!
estribor.
Yes. Yep, that's not what I wanted to see. This Richelieu's in my way. Sir, help. Stop.
Agujero bajo la
Early,
línea de
early.
flotación. Nos inundamos rápidamente. Problema resuelto, señor.
Katsunos actually should have the hero under lock now, so
Crucero enemigo avistado.
that'll be good for me. Gonna fire my early. Hero spotted by Katsunos. Mecklenburg died to something. Goliath. Nice damage, by the way. Is that a blind fire heading towards me? That ain't good. Wait, shit. I'm gonna just wait. I'm gonna just drop widespreads here. So far we're looking a lot better than the last two matches. This is looking a lot more comprehensive.
Torpedos al frente.
Katsunos says it's right already. Also soon.
Agujero en el
Really?
casco. Está ingresando agua rápidamente. Torpedos a estribor.
That's two Chungmu torpedoes.
Problema resuelto,
Eight.
señor. Destructor enemigo detectado. Crucero enemigo avistado.
Lost the Liu Yang. I'm gonna start pushing down through this alley. So Chungmu's like somewhere. Well, the Z44 streaming for me. I should be fine. Relatively for the foreseeable future. Oh well.
Concentren fuego en la nave enemiga. Torpedos al frente.
Gap, obviously. 0 damage. Cool, bro. 0 damage again. Very cool, very cool. I'm not sure. So that's 2 wasted radar already.
Enemigo detectado. Torpedos al frente.
Don't know if I can get out of that one, but we'll try. Should be good. Nice. Fire the SMB immediately, get everything back online. Not sure what shot me. No, nothing with huge range actually has anything left, but I mean Yamato exists, but he's on that side of the map.
Torpedos a estribor.
He's out there now? What? Why?
Передаю координаты.
That's a total waste. He's back there. Shugmu's being very irritating to kill. This time I actually caught him within the radar, so that's good. Why would you fire? What the fuck? That's gonna happen. If angle. Fine. Oh, get out. Okay, so
Hemos hecho estallar un destructor enemigo.
I know. Again, I just need hits to proc the button. I don't need damage, I just need
Alarma de
hits.
incendio.
And enough to not take too much of a hit. What? Kill him. That's cool. And now we can sort of push out and deal with this Hindenburg. Minotaur. Should be very... A tasty banana over there. Indeed. So, lesson learned with those radars. If you're going to fight against a DD who's being a total amateur, then best not to waste their radars unless you can get guaranteed kills. Which I was able to do because he actually started firing for some reason. Which confused the shit out of me, but then I realized, oh wait, no, he's just being... Go. Alright, Bird Brain. If I see the two, yep, Minotaur's aiming at me, I'm gonna turn in now.
Alarma de incendio. Crucero enemigo hundido.
So that gets rid of the Hindenburg. So that's 2 ships down. I'm gonna actually pop my heal early, just to get it going, and so I'll have more health to engage this Minotaur. So, now that we're on the topic of Minotaurs, one of the big things about the San Martin that's very good, especially when it's fighting a Minotaur, is that, unlike the Minotaur, it actually has relatively solid ballistics out to 10 kilometers. It's relatively similar to the Minotaur, but the penetration's better, and of course, you can just tank better than the Minotaur overall, because your plating doesn't suck that hard. I'm actually going to take a wide line here. That's the second Minotaur. So the cool thing is that both San Martin and Minotaur have the same concealments. G44 is on the base. Gonna fire one salvo that way. Should actually have this Minotaur within radar detection relatively soon, I would imagine. Come on. Yep. So now you're gonna see what I mean. Okay, never mind. 1 second. Just need to aim this correctly. One set.
La batalla finaliza en 5 minutos. Nuestro equipo tiene la ventaja.
So that kills that San
Hemos destruido un crucero enemigo.
Why is the
Let the enemy take the base.
why the Lepanto isn't
Todas
something
las
that the cap
unidades,
is?
defiendan la base.
Ah! No, no, not Minotaur torps.
Agujero en el casco. Está
Fudge.
ingresando agua rápidamente.
That's not what I wanted to see.
Resuelto, señor.
Okay, I needed... Crap. I actually didn't think he torped. I'm not gonna live, am I? Okay, Lepanto kills E44, so I'm good now. Oh, he missed? Get my heal going immediately. There's a Citadel. Yep. Now that's a better game. That's a way better game for San Martin, especially. Gotta say. Yeah, definitely a lot better. Whew. Man. Okay. So yeah, that's the game I was looking for. Much better game with San Martin. I know the first three kind of sucked. And we've gone to an hour and 12 minutes, but I'm not going to be able to cut out most of that, so... unfortunately, not really. So yeah, good game. Good game. 198,000 damage, 4 kills, 7 citadels on that. This 4 Minotaur got the worst of it. 2,942 base, pretty close to 3,000. Good amount of damage to the Malta. 76,000 damage to the Palmer. Hit this guy with 1 citadel. Managed to touch this guy a little bit. Overall, relatively solid performance, and I managed to live at the end thanks to getting that emergency proc. So that's kind of one of the big places where that combat instruction really comes into its own, is surviving those massive hits that you're going to end up taking over the duration of a battle. And you know, towards the end there, I was a little panicked, but you can kind of see that, you know, the damage rolled in. I got the hits that I needed to, got the funny button back up, and I was able to heal from 3,000. I think it was just down to about 1,500. Might have to go back and watch the footage, but down to 1,500, and I was able to survive. So that's such a massive advantage that San Martin has. Is oh, and I got a commander level. That's nice. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but when it can do damage, it's great. And more importantly, when it does do damage and it's able to absorb damage, it's able to absorb hits. That's where it's at its greatest strength. It's a very well-rounded cruiser overall, and the only thing that's really holding it back is, well, first off, of course, a lack of high explosive shells, and its effective DPM isn't great. The other thing is, of course, being so reliant on that consumable to be super efficient. I think, you know, if you got rid of that gimmick and you just made the consumable cooldown normal, it would probably work fine, but I don't think that combat efficiency or that survivability would be nearly as good. It's similar to Minotaur. It would just be an alternative version of Minotaur that's, in my opinion, worse. Just straight up worse than Minotaur, and that combat instruction is what makes it so efficient. And it makes it so well-rounded. So in any case, that's going to be it for me. I know it went to over an hour and 15 minutes at this point, but I am not entirely... I don't really care. I'll probably cut out some parts if I need to. But yeah, overall, I think... thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. I know it's been a while since I've had a video like this, but... yeah. Thank you all for watching. I do hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will be coming back next week. I do promise this time I will be coming with the video next week, and like I said last time, which I didn't, and I will be covering next week the Almighty Vermont in next week's video, the Almighty Brick. So until then, take care, guys, and I will see you all next time. Shockwave is out.